Welcome to Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Tuesday, the 15th of August, comes to you from London. And we start by looking at the dollar index. Dollar just nudging higher here, testing this 93.75 resistance level again. So it is just looking slightly like this might be a bottom. If you look at the daily chart, we've got the low, then a higher low. If we can go higher, that might be the beginnings of a bit of a turnaround for the dollar. Again, just right on the support level here. So it's still too early to say. We are still bearish long and medium term, but the short term picture is looking better. And the euro is actually still just holding its bullish position, but it is heading back below the cloud here on the price. So euro might be just running out of steam, forming a little bit of a top here. Again, we're still bullish in the medium and long term, with the short-term picture starting to look a little bit less good for the euro. Dollar is also rising against the Japanese yen. Last couple of days we're seeing a re-rating here. We are still bearish medium and long term, but the short term is starting to look a little bit better, and there is support here for the dollar. Sterling is heading lower this morning. Inflation numbers disappointing, well, meaning that interest rates are less likely to rise. That's activated this downside target to 124.35, so we are seeing sterling falling away again here. And if we look at against the euro, again sterling falling here as well, bearish on all three charts. So it's really still a very bearish picture for sterling all round. Against the Swiss franc, we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off, and against the Australian dollar also we're seeing a little bit of a sell-off. The S&P 500 index recovered quite strongly yesterday, as did the Nasdaq. We're not quite back into bullish territory, but we're getting very close, so the market's putting on quite a good showing there. The Dow still holding up, and the Russell 2000 recovering a little bit, although this index does still look a little bit worrying. The S&P future is up very slightly this morning. The Nasdaq E-mini is up 0.25%, suggesting we will open higher today. The FTSE 100 index is also recovering, but bearish below the cloud, up on that weaker pound. And the FTSE 250 also just looking a little bit better, but still bearish below the cloud. And the DAX hasn't made it back above the cloud, recovered the last couple of days, but really still looking pretty bearish. And the Nikkei 225 also bearish, below the cloud. That stronger yen over the recent week or so has had an impact. And Hang Seng is just selling off a little bit here as well, so China a little bit lower. The local market also below the cloud on the Shanghai Composite, so just looking a little bit weak there for a change. And the Sensex index also just looking weaker below the cloud as well. The Australian market mixed, above the cloud, but very much flatlining the last couple of months, just no real performance there. Brent crude sitting at $50.78. We're bearish below the cloud, just struggling with this $50 level. Downside targets over here at 47.62, 48.34. That's 5 and 6% downside respectively. And then if we look at the WTI chart, we're seeing much the same thing, 5, 6%, not quite activated on this downside, but crude looking bearish again. US nat gas did hit $3 yesterday on the bullish upside trend, so we're looking a little bit better here still. And copper just coming from that bearish position short term, starting to look good with lots of upside targets. So we are just seeing an improvement there. Looking at some of the other softs, we look at wheat. We see here that wheat is still bearish below the cloud, and corn also bearish on all three time frames, so still not looking great. Soybeans also looking bearish on all three time frames. Gold has sold off a little bit and is just entering some negative territory here. This pullback in the price, quite significant, a lot of uncertainty with the gold price, but is still looking bullish in the medium and long term. Just that short term picture starting to look a bit more bearish. And silver also just starting to nudge the short term bearish position. US Treasury yields sitting at 2.24%, quite a lot of downside targets still to the lower 2.1, 2.15 area. And then if you look at tech, Apple still looking strong. Google still below the cloud and short-term worrying, but just coming off the bottom yesterday. Amazon also just coming off the bottom. Facebook regaining its bullish position above the cloud and looking better. And Microsoft also regaining its bullish position above the cloud and also looking better. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.